he wants to rework it, let's say. Okay, he hasn't been very supportive of the thing we did last year. So my understanding is now, they filed their bill a little while ago. My understanding is now that they have worked out a series of compromises that they're going to offer as a substitute amendment. We're going to have 2 hearings on this in September. Y'all know this? Suppose that what we're going to try to do.
1486.
What's that?
1486.
Yeah, this is the Senate bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to have 2 hearings on it, and my understanding is if it all goes like we think it will, and of course we have Syria and lots of other things, so, but assuming it all the schedule holds, looks like we're going to have 2 hearings in September, and then probably a vote in the committee in about a month. Well, that's late September, early October. I'm not sure it's up to the chairman to set that, but my guess is it'll be, I'm just going to pick a number, first week of October, maybe. Something like that, try to get it out. And there'll be I'm sure there'll be some other stuff on the calendar too. And then, what I would say to you all is, let's all read that bill and the amendment, or amendments closely. Let's see if it's something we can support or not. Like I said, I did support the one last year. I understand you guys have a lot of concerns about what you've seen so far. And I'm like you, I don't know exactly what all is in the compromise for this.
Well, what was your stance on 1486 as is?
I haven't read it yet. I think I'm against it, but I haven't read it yet because I knew that they were working on some compromise. It just hadn't been ready for me to look at. So in September, when we come back, we'll be back in Monday. We'll look at it as it goes and see, as amended, if it's something that I can support. Are you guys opposed to the current, is it 1486?
I think the word is vehemently.
And I'm sure that has to do with a lot of things, but tell me your say top 2 or 3 objections to 1486.
What it does to our benefits, federal health benefits, changing that, and retirement benefits.
Yeah. Now, changing the federal health benefits, meaning taking it out of the FEHBP.
Yes. They want post office to try to run it, and you know how well they went in the post office. I don't want to handle my health insurance.
Well, I've been very critical of the Postmaster General for trying to do that. It doesn't make sense to me. One of the things you get into with insurance generally, but certainly health insurance, you have what they call a law of numbers, just an insurance term. What that means is the more people you have in a group, the better deal you get. You got more negotiating power. You get more coverage with bigger volume. That type of thing. It's just the way insurance works. So what this would do is it would take y'all out of the big FEHBP and put you in a smaller thing. It's still big, but it's smaller than FEHBP. He's convinced he can save money. He's never demonstrated how he can save money doing that. And so I've been critical of that. Besides that, what you're doing is you're taking the FEHBP and you're shrinking it, so it may hurt other employees possibly. And he's never made a satisfactory case to me on that, so I don't support that. And what was another objection you had? You said the FEHBP and
So,
yeah, tell me what it does on the retirement stuff.
I have a question after that, though.
Okay. So what does it do?
Well, we're not sure. I mean, we haven't got the full story yet, only that, what we hear. And so really that's what we're trying to get.
There's a provision, I think, is it 1486? I can't remember all the numbers on these bills because there's so many. But anyway, 1486. If I remember right, there's a provision that changes. Is it pre-funding your retirement?
Yes.
Is that what it does? It changes that.
That's the money we have to put up at front every year.
Yeah. And you guys, y'all don't necessarily want it as is, but you don't like the change that they're proposing in this. Is that fair to say?
Well, we don't want to have to put up all that money the pre-fund somebody that benefits in 70 years in advance. It's just too much of a drain on the postal service to have to learn
yet.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons.
We're the only so government agency that even has to do that. I mean, it's like, give me 50% of your income right up front, and then we'll deal with the rest of the year without any money.
So I know that there have been, last year when we changed that, I think we changed that to y'all's satisfaction, didn't we, last year? Do you remember?
No,
It wasn't satisfactory last year?
it wasn't repealed.
I thought
They
it,
said they didn't have to make it.
It was delayed.
it was delayed, is that, I remember we did, I thought we did something on it. I
There was a slight adjustment, but it wasn't nearly what they were looking for in the last.
That was pretty, that provision was somewhat contentious in the Senate committee last time. It seemed like on the floor too, trying to fix that. And so what else do you not like about 1480? Oh, let's do the
I have a
question.
question about, you mentioned Inspector General. All the consolidations that I've seen across the United States, when the Government Accounting Office does their report, every one of them have shown that the savings have been misquoted by millions in the initial plan by the post office. When they've actually done it, the savings have been a fraction of what they've said. First class delivery service has gone down, et cetera, et cetera. Every consolidation, how long does that have to happen before we get to Post Record General?
Well, that's what, yeah, that's a good question. That's been one of my criticisms because I've noticed that too, that they make all these claims about savings, but when you really get inside the numbers, they're not there. I remember we got into this the first time, this was a few years ago, when they were consolidating some of the mail processing centers, and some of your guys, I don't remember exactly who it was, came to Washington, I don't remember who was.
It would be me.
Okay. But, you know, made a pretty compelling case that their numbers didn't add up.
Yeah, I think I quoted you guys $1 million they would lose.
Yeah, and
That's
so,
me.
and so we went back and looked, and sure enough, you're right. I mean, they don't add up. And,
Hey, if I was right, why did we close Fort Smith?
Why do we close so many?
I know.
Close all of Arkansas's 10 plants but 2.
Yeah.
And that's my question in a nutshell. If I'm right, and it cost them $1 million to close, and they didn't save anything, and evidently you guys have looked at something correct, why were they allowed to close Fort Smith?
Well, you know, the Postmaster General has that authority to do
Why
that.
is he still working?
I know, but listen, I'm not a big fan of Postmaster General, don't get me wrong, okay? But I'm not going to defend anything he says, because I've tangled with him more than once. I don't know if y'all have seen some of that in the committee, but I've called him out in the committee several times on some of this stuff. But, you know, he is duly appointed and all that stuff, and he has the discretion. And, you know, one of the things that we did in last year's bill was we tried to put a lot more accountability in there, make him accountable to somebody, which right now is not really. You know, you have the Post Reform Commission, and they can come back, or is it called the Postal Commission, or Post Reform? Postal Reform. Yeah. They can come back, and they can make all these recommendations. He doesn't have to follow anything, they don't have to do anything, they can question, they can do whatever. And, you know, there's no real check and balance there. So he really doesn't have anybody that's putting pressure on him.
Wasn't it you that asked him why he thought he was
And quite frankly, it answer the question, but at least not in my mind. So, yeah, so we tangle with him quite a bit. We, you know, on the 6-day delivery, it's a big deal. Again, show us the numbers, show us your analysis, make your case. You know, I'll look at it, but you got to make your case. You can't just say it. You got to show us the numbers, and he's been very reluctant to do that.
And what we're seeing, and I'm going to go to meeting in just a minute on that question. What we're seeing, Fort Smith, for instance, they closed down Fort Smith. A year from now, or a year from when they close it down, we'll get numbers to show where these savings like that. Theoretically, they would have to open it back up if those numbers didn't match. But when they closed down, they were taking $1 million machine and just basically give it to a scrapyard.
Yeah.
So they're going to have when they do it, they'll make the argument, we can't open back up, it costs too much money, because they literally scrapped out machinery.
And the other thing is, you guys know this better than anybody, is y'all have already gone through lots of changes. This isn't like someone's waking up last week and saying, oh, we need to change post service. You guys, for the last, 10 years or so, have been going through all kinds of transitions, and y'all know it, they've thinned out the workforce quite a bit. They've gone to a lot more, say, automation and other things, and they've consolidated all kinds of stuff. I mean, y'all have gone through a lot of, I've forgotten the numbers right now, I just don't have them, but the size of the postal workforce today compared to, say, 15 years ago, what do y'all like, half as big or a third as big or something? I mean, it's dramatic. And so it's not like people have been trying to do this, and y'all are the ones who have been taking some of the hit. But anyway, I do think we obviously need to do postal reform.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. It's good to see you again. we do need to do postal reform, and, you know, it's something that, in concept I support, but we have to do it the right way. I guess that's my point, gotta do it the right way.
Well, there's not much more you can be flexible about from our perspective. I mean, we're doing twice as much work now than we did pre-2006. If they keep reducing the workforce, it's just not possible. It's not. Something's got to happen. And pre-funding these retired benefits is sinking our ship. It really is. Ever since that went into effect, we've gone downhill. And we've gone from, what's the number, Dennis? How many in the clerk crowd? 300 and what to now?
Down about 200,000 now.
Yeah, like-
Between
Right.
180 and 200,000.
Well, it all comes down to without that $5-some billion pre-funding or whatever, the post office was not the red. I mean,
No.
they were operating on.
We had a
But
surplus.
when you have to put that $5-some
Yeah,
billion.
we have to fix that, and there's a history on that predates me being Senate.
What was the reason for it to begin with?
Well, some of these guys are gonna have to tell us, but basically, the numbers somehow, and again, this is before I got there, but the numbers through the legislative process changed, and basically y'all are overfunding, right? Isn't that right?
Yes.
And like the only guys doing this in the first place, and now you're overdoing it, and it just really hurts the bottom line. So y'all tell me what the reason was. I don't.
Bush.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's bottom line.
The lame duck session, so that was something they stuck in there, you know, and who knows what's carry on back.
Do you remember what year it was?
2006.
December, lame duck, December 2006.
I believe it was because they needed $5 billion to reduce the national deficit. That they can't get that money back because it's evaporated into the red
It's
ink.
gone.
It's gone.
And Congress can borrow money, but granted, they pay it back out of this fund, but we can't. We're in the red, we're on this sinking ship going down, people are working excessive hours, losing their jobs, being excess, plants closing. We can't get into that fund, but Congress can. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
And the
you
big
know-
issue is the service, it's really going down. That's the main thing, the service.
It's supposed to be about service, and it's not anymore.
It's
at all.
not.
And although they
And it
say
only shames us, because that's what we're there for.
they say our numbers are reducing, but you say full-time employee numbers are reducing, but the part-time employees with no benefits is increasing, and it's all about getting a lower-cost worker. And the rotation of those lower-cost workers
With no experience.
with no experience, and the quality of service is decreasing, and the burden of trying to balance the budget is on the middle-class workers' backs, and they haven't reduced the hierarchy's numbers at all. They're increasing, and the people who actually touch the mail is decreasing. And it seems like there's an injustice or imbalance.
Yeah, there's 3 times as many in management now, and with that much less in workers. Who are they managing?
Is that right?
Well,
Yes.
since
That's true.
2000 since 2006, management has increased, what, 54%?
Yes.
54%.
Yeah.
And
Why would
we're the
they?
ones
There's
moving
less
the mail, and
employees
we're
in there.
disappearing. That makes no sense.
What do they call management? What
That's all I have.
Wrong room to ask that question.
Basically, management is district and above,
District and above.
because the postmasters at local levels can't make a decision.
No.
Well, but there's more supervisors on our floor at times than there are clerks.
That's right, and
Now,
no,
we're getting mail in spurts, where we used to get kind of an even flow. But the reason for that is they closed the efficient near the post office and put it in a place like Memphis, that's a dinosaur. And they can't get the mail to us. We get actually, we got some flyers the other day that was dated for Lowe's or someone, but anyhow, the last day. We couldn't have got it to the people.
We've gotten it
About
when
the
it was
last-
past the last
Remember in
day.
the good old days when you used to get a first class letter the next day or the day after that? Now it's taking 10 days to get from California to here,
And you can't blame the American public for being mad,
right?
because they don't understand how it works. They're just mad at us.
Let me say this too. Obviously, I'm gonna try to help you guys, always have tried to help you, as best I could. But, you know, you do have people in Washington, literally, that want to see the Postal Service go away.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
And, and they think, you know, that FedEx and UPS are so much better, but y'all know the whole story on that. You know,
We have to carry it.
I know, I get it. People up there don't want to understand that. They also don't want to understand, they don't even try to understand that FedEx and UPS don't have a model where you pay 40-something cents and deliver from, you know, right here in Springdale, Arkansas to whatever, Biloxi, Mississippi in a couple of days. They don't want that business. They'll charge you $10 for that.
They drop that shit right up.
Exactly, exactly.
But they won't do it for what y'all are trying to do. And, you know, the Postal Service is actually written in the Constitution, as you all know, and it was essential then, and it's essential now. And it's just a very important part of our economy and communication economy. So, and I understand the changes that have happened. Y'all see it. Gosh, y'all live with it every day. The general was talking about closing post offices, rural post offices. We were flooded with people around Arkansas that said, don't close my post office, keep it open, blah, blah, blah. Hate to say it. Y'all know this. About 90% of that came from email. Right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of the problem, right? I mean, you know, that's one of the big changes. But it just is the way it is. And so,
But they can't get their medication for you.
no, that's right. That's right. And there's still these very
And
essential
I agree.
reasons. Yeah,
Because letter volume is down, but parcel volume is
that's
up
right.
dramatically.
And even things like the internet, where people are ordering stuff. You mentioned, you know, your medication or you name it, your pet supplies or whatever. Whatever. You know, people are doing more of that. And, you know, so it changes. It's not all bad. It's a challenge. It presents challenges, but you know, we just have to make sure that when we do this bill, we do it the right way. And that's what I talked to Tom Carper, who's chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, the other day, and I talked to him about two things: postal reform. And he said he and Coburn are. This was 3 weeks ago. He said they're very close, and they think they're, you know, pretty much have an agreement. And you know, we'll see what all that is. And again, I'm not sure I can support it, but I want to support it. I just don't know if I can support it because I want to get this behind us and get this done. But I talked to him about that, and I talked to him about cybersecurity, which is, you know, very important. But anyway, but look, all I can say is y'all stay in touch with me as this unfolds. Y'all tell me what you're hearing, what you know, how it impacts Arkansas. Because I'm very committed to listening to what you guys say and, you know, understanding how this is going to work. Because I know what the Postmaster General is going to say. I got that, right? We know it's only going to be a bed of roses. It's going to be great. It's going to improve and be positive. That's what he's going to say. Like I said, I've locked horns with him before, and y'all seen that. But I want to know what y'all say about it. I want to hear.
The ones we're asking right now that's just out for on the support as far as it's the HR 630 and the Senate Bill 316. That's the two ones that's out. That's right now we're asking for support on. Those two are addressing the retiree health benefits and the money up front.
So 1486 is the underlying Senate bill. Sounds like that's the one that's probably going to be Coburn.
Yes.
And that's got out a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And that's the one. But then you're saying there's two other ones. I don't have those two.
The one that just off our website said support HR 630 and S 316.
Okay, I don't have those.
That's
listed.
by Bernie Sanders and DeFazio that put those. And I think they're called the Postal Service Protection Act.
Okay, I'll check those. I don't have those in my memo. This is more just about what, this came from my staff,
Right.
Well, this is, our national president was supposed to be here. We had a death in the family Thursday night, so we weren't able to make it. But I've got a copy of the letter that he sent to the majority leader, Mr. Reed, discussing what his feelings about 1486 was, and I'll give it to you. If you'd like to
You mind?
get it outlined, some of the
Okay.
stuff that have some more stuff, I don't wanna read it to you, if you can't remember everything.
Well, this is the kind of stuff I need to hear from you guys on that. My guess is,
But it's signed by 4 different
I see that.
presidents too, so,
Okay,
of
good.
different unions, mail handlers,
Yeah.
letter carriers, so forth.
The pre-funding is.
Is that the biggie?
That's the big.
that's the biggie. Okay.
One of the biggies is the pre-funding and also taking us out of the federal health benefits and the retirement benefits.
Plus, we're overfunding our own retirement system, both FERS and civil.
One of the other major issues that President Duffy had with it,
Tell me what.
like
how
the
it-
no layoff clause, they want to make sure that there's never a no layoff clause again, which has saved many of our jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And just changing the parameters of negotiations where the arbitrators have to look at the financial condition of the Postal Service in any decision they make and things like that. So those damaging attributes are in 1486 that we've been fighting through several of the pieces of legislation that have been put up. And of course, we know Darrell is the ringleader of most of them, so.
Yeah.
To Lisa.
Anything ICE is involved with, just vote against. That might help us out there. He's not. Definitely.
1486 is gonna.
If I had
be-
$480 million,
It will.
I guess I could, do whatever I
Right.
wanted to.
That's a letter signed by the 4 unions on the
Yeah,
board.
this will be good. I'll
That,
look
that's,
at it.
we
There's
just,
also some more information in there.
we want to, we think we do a good job, a great job, and, that money up front, yes, there's changes that need to be in the postal service, we agree. But the pre-funding is one of them, and the other thing that we feel, and I see in our own state, is the consolidation of plants.
Oh, yes.
It's not costing, it's not saving any money. I mean, we're from Fort Smith, we're down to 25 people. They've moved them out of Fayetteville, they're up there working 60 hours a week. And it's-
72 hours a week.
Like us on the overtime list, or our part-time employees, they're working them 60 to 70 hours a week and paying all that money out in overtime. You can't convince me that the consolidation is saving the Postal Service any money whatsoever.
And maybe what we can do is try to use that as a case study now, because I opposed them doing that consolidation. They did it anyway, that was my objection, but I opposed them. One of the reasons I opposed it is because the old Beverly, what's it called now, the nursing home?
Beverly Enterprise.
Yeah, it's the old, but it's got a new name now, Golden Horizon.
Went out of Fort Smith, yes.
And because they were very adamant about this because they get basically payment checks every day, 6 days a week, and the timeliness of those is very important in this company. So anyway, that and among other things, the Fort Smith folks didn't want. But so I lost that, but maybe we can use that as a case study to kind of see what the real numbers
The
are.
hours are atrocious at what
Yeah.
we're using up there.
But 700
And not
Thomas was saying, I totally agree with him. I think if you look at the numbers of what it's cost to process mail the last 10 months compared to what was going on before, it's crazy.
And not only that, I mean, the service is deteriorating.
Let's not forget Harrison and Jonesboro and Hot Springs and all there's 7 other plants that were closed in Arkansas, not just Fort Smith.
And I'm in Little Rock, and we are the recipient of their mail. And I see the mail is dated a week ago. It's a week ago, and we're processing Fort Smith and Fayetteville's mail.
We're not providing.
Ours is coming in awful in Van Buren.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. We
terrible.
do Van Buren.
Oh, yeah.
We
We're finding
do the
letters
passports
down
from
in
Hot
our
Springs.
packages
And although we the recipient and we're supposedly gaining jobs, what I'm concerned about is the degradation of the service.
Yes, sir.
Not only are the plant, another Fort Smith employee, not only the plants that have the mail now working all this overtime, because they got rid of so many employees at the offices that lost employees, now they're forcing them to work 5-6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. It's just not just the plants. And my job now is every morning I go in, I go check the supervisor to see who's missing mail. Come in and, because it missed the truck, I go pick it up, deliver it where it goes.
Yeah.
That's a everyday occurrence now.
What's gonna happen when these bills come before you guys? You guys modify them, you have amendments to them, you redo the bills. I mean, this has been going on for over 2 years now. You guys, not just you, but your fellow senators and representatives across the country, what's gonna happen when we get to a point where you guys can't come to a decision and the post office goes bankrupt where we don't have any money? What's gonna happen to us at that point?
Well, again, I do think there are some, especially on the House side, that want that to happen, and that's the problem. I mean, it's a big problem. It's not just in the Postal Service. Y'all saw what they did in the Farm Bill. They blew up the Farm Bill, first time in 50 years. First time in 50 years they blew up the Farm Bill. Never had that happen before. We go down a long list of other things. Of course, they can't, we don't have to go into the House Republicans, but
Go ahead.
I'm concerned about it because, again, I think the Postal Service is critical, and maybe people love to complain about the Postal Service, but man, it's so important. It's so important to rural Arkansas. I mean, y'all know how it is. It is. It's your lifeline to the rest of the world. You know?
And the vets.
And seniors. I mean, come on.
I work the window in Hot Springs, and we do get a lot of complaints. But you'd be amazed at the number of people that come in there and say, we appreciate you.
Yes.
We support you. What can we do to help you?
Yeah, sure.
And I tell them to call you.
Well, that's good. That's good. Hey, that's good. That's fine.
And I've seen lots of reports that say, well, the American people are okay with this, and the American people are okay with that. What American people are they talking about? Because they ain't the American people that I'm working with or that I see.
The Fox viewers.
So, well, some of that, I think, isn't some of that done by the postal, Postmaster General? I mean, hadn't he released some of that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he believes in this Lululand or whatever.
What do we gotta do to get him?
It doesn't exist.
I mean, it's not reality.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Well,
not really how it is.
And, I'm not here just to bash on him, but let me take this opportunity to do so. Now, actually, like I said, I've locked horns with him on several occasions, and I'm on a couple of committees that are important to him. So, anyway, he and I just don't see eye to eye on a lot of this. And my point is this. It's like I say with a lot of these other officials, show me the numbers. Give me your criteria. Be transparent here. Give me your criteria.
They've never been trained.
And show me the numbers, right? Just show me the numbers. If you can make your case, hey, I may not like it, but I'll agree with you if you make your case, but they won't do it. They won't do it.
Anybody can show you
Well, in the long run, for retirees, they'll pay a little bit less. Sure, everybody else will have to pay a little bit more, but it'll be better in the long run. A little bit more.
He also
already
said
paying
our
enough.
contract was the solution, this new contract was the solution. He said that right after it happened. And now he says right the opposite.
Well, like I said, I'm not really a fan club, but we will we'll look at all this, and this is, I love y'all hearing this because this is the kind of stuff we need to know. And I hope y'all will stay in touch. Is this once the details are known about what sort of amendment we might be looking at here, I'd love for y'all to look at it, tell me what it means from y'all's perspective, because even, with your national folks, I want to know what it means for Arkansas. You know what I mean? Because we get in a situation sometimes where you'll have a union or you'll have some sort of business association or whatever, and overall they feel one way, but it impacts Arkansas differently. I want to know how it impacts Arkansas. So if y'all can, once this becomes available, like I said, I hadn't seen anything, I don't think my staff has seen anything either. Once y'all get your hands on it, I'd love for y'all to look it over and tell me what it means and how it works. And I would be surprised if some of y'all actually come to DC at some point in the next month or so as we're working on it. My guess is if we get it out of the committee and say in about a month, let's just say, at that point, if Harry Reid can bring it to the floor, he'll try to bring it to the floor. But, that's another question, though, because if it's really bad, first, I don't know if it'll get out of the committee if it's real bad. But second, I'm not sure Reid will actually agree to bring it to the floor if it's real bad. Because someone mentioned Darrell Issa. Who was that that said Issa?
Yeah.
He's all our friend, he's looking out for us.
So
I saw on the cake.
once we move it, if we move it through the floor and get it over the House, then you got this whole House version of it, whatever that means, whatever that's going to be. At that point, we'll have conference and we'll have to try to iron out the differences. So this is going to be a multi-step process, but I am worried if we hit stalemate again and just perpetuate, we need to do some reform. Y'all know, everybody agrees with that, but it just needs to be the right kind of reform. Well, I hate to do this.